It just eject. Hi, Christian. We're a day behind, so whatever gets unlocked for today, we're doing tomorrow, and so on. So today we're looking at uh, 3:31. I know it's the first, but we're a day behind because of Monday's stream. Kind of went foobar. Um, so today we are looking at equations with variables on both sides. So we're looking for things that we have the equal sign here, you have a variable over here, and you have the same variable over here. You're only allowed to have one type of variable in order to solve these. If you have multiple variables, for example, if you have an a and a b, as of right now in your math, that's not solvable. You need calculus to do that. But this is solvable because we only have one unknown. It's just split up between two places. So we just don't know what A is. And that's our goal here. We want to figure out what A is. So today we're going to look at this, then we'll look at the homework. If you have questions about the homework from yesterday, we can do after this. This is not hard. You already know all the theory behind this. You just got to add another step to solving these things. So we just walk through the steps, and if you're following along the slideshow, the steps are kind of written out there for you. But yeah, we can just go ahead and jump in and solve problems like this. Again, you should be noting that we only have one unknown. If you have more than one unknown, then you can't solve it. So you can simplify things that way, but you can't actually solve. Here, the only unknown we have is A, so we should be able to actually get a value for A. And then we should be able to go back and plug in that value for A on both sides of this and get a statement that is true. So step one is to get your variables on one side. Which means you actually have a choice here. I could move the 9A over to this side, or I could move the 4A over to that side. It does not matter. You're going to get the same answer as always. We did not do this yesterday. It is scheduled for yesterday, but Monday's stream kind of crapped out on us. So I'm a day behind. And things are just going to unlock as they go because I'm not going to go and mess with them. So you are going to you already have tomorrow's assignment unlocked, but we're going to do that tomorrow and it's saying it's today's assignment. Hopefully we're just a day behind, so just keep up with it. But here, we only get our variable to one side. And again, we can move the 4a over here, or we can move the 9a over here. We're in the notes right now. Your assignment is page 493. Is that what it is? No. That's 8th grade's assignment. Your assignment is page 369, 3 through 23. That's what we're working on today. And again, your answer sheet's in there. But let's go through an example. We know the theory behind this. We need to get all of our variables to one side. So think to yourself, again, hey, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And is it easier to subtract 9a from both sides? Right? That will get rid of the 9a over here and cancel it out. Or is it easier to subtract 4a from both sides, and that will get rid of 4a over here and cancel that out? So you have the choice between the two. It doesn't matter which one you choose. It will give you the same answer either way. You just want to get the variables on one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the 4a over, because the opposite of adding 4a, and I'm just going to group this as one term, is subtracting 4a. So I'm going to subtract 4a from this side, and I'm going to subtract 4a from this side. Just like you do in your algebra stuff, we're just taking that variable with it. And 4a minus 4a is going to cancel. So this is going to cancel over here. It's going to leave me with a negative 18. Don't lose your sign. And over here, 9a minus 4a can combine, right? So technically you're going to be left with 9a minus 4a plus 2. You can combine these like terms. So combine those like terms, you get 9a minus 4a, which gives you 5a. And then the plus 2 just kind of gets brought down with it. And that equals negative 18. From this point, you can just use your inverses to solve. So step 2 is actually combine like terms. So you might have to combine like terms. Which we did earlier this week. Step 3 is solve using inverses. Right, so we want to get a by itself here. In that case, you're adding 2, so let's subtract 2 from this side and subtract 2 from this side. Just be careful of your signs. Negative 18 minus 2 gives you a negative 20, and that leaves you with 5a. And then you want to get a by itself. So we divide by 5, and a equals negative 4. And what we can do is we can actually go back to our original problem, which was 9a plus 2 equals 4a minus 18. And we can plug in negative 4 to check. So, and 4 times negative 4 equals 18. So you see how a is negative 4. I just substituted in negative 4 for a. And we can check to see if this statement is true. We just need these to be equal to each other. On this side, 9 times negative 4 gives you negative 36 plus 2. Over here, 4 times negative 4 gives you negative 16. And I'm sorry, this is a minus 18. Minus 18. Negative 36 plus 2 gives you a negative 32. Is that right? No, negative 34. Negative 16 minus negative 8 is also going to give you negative 34. And you can see this is a true statement. Negative 34 equals negative 34, and therefore a equals negative 4 is the correct answer. All right. Peter says, do you have to do tomorrow's assignment today, or can we wait? No, tomorrow's assignment is for tomorrow. This is the assignment that is due today. Can you get decimals? I don't know. You might be able to get decimals. I can check the answers real quick to see if there are decimals. 7 and 14 have fractions / decimals. So those are the only two that you should be getting decimal answers for, is 7 and 14. Everything else comes out nice. And even those ones, the fractions aren't bad. 369 is due today. 369 is due today, yes. That's what we're doing today. There's only two with fractions or decimals. Okay, we're going to do some more examples, and then you can ask questions about the homework. Right? But let's walk you through some examples so you know what's going on, and you know what, when you see things, how you can handle them, and we'll talk about the homework. I will, but I'm going to go over the examples in the homework. I don't know which one number 3 looks like. I'm going to go the examples from my notes first that you should be taking down as examples so you know how to do them. And then I'll do some homework questions. So our next example is 4x plus 4 equals 2x plus 36. Again, we want to find out what x equals. So in order to do that, we need to get x by itself, or together first. So here we have 4x, here we have 2x. I can either bring the 2x over, or I can bring the 4x over this way. It's probably easier to bring the 2x over, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to subtract 2x from this side, and I'm going to subtract 2x from this side. Over here, my 2x is going to cancel and leave me with 36. Over here, 4x minus 2x gives me 2x. And then I didn't do anything with the 4, so plus 4. Then I'm going to solve for x. So order of operations in reverse says I want to subtract the 4 first. Subtract the 4, so I get 2x equals 32. And then I'm going to divide by the 2. Divide by the 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. They cancel, leave me with x. 32 divided by 2 is 16. So here my answer is x equals 16. And again, you can go back in and plug it in to check. The next one is going to remind you to keep your signs in check here. So make sure you keep your signs correct and watch them. And watch your operations with positives and negatives. Biggest mistake people are going to make are operations with integers. Use the flow chart, use a calculator to double check things, but operations with integers people struggle with, so just be careful with it. Again, I want to get my b's together. I can either bring negative 8b over here or positive 6b over here. I am going to bring negative 8b over because that means I'm going to be adding 8b. So I'm going to add 8b to this side, and I'm going to add 8b to this side. So then these will cancel and leave me with 13 over here, positive 13. Over here I have a negative 15 I'm not touching. 6b and 8b I can combine because they're like terms. So 6b plus 8b gives me a positive 14b. 6 plus 8 gives you 14. Can't do anything with the b. Then I'm going to do order of operations in reverse. I have a negative 15 here, so I'm going to add 15. Remember doing the inverses. Plus 15 here. This is going to cancel, leave me with 14b here, and 13 plus 15 gives me 28. Then I want to get b by itself, so I'm going to divide by 14. Divide by 14, do it to one side, do it to the other. 14s are going to cancel, leave me with b equals, and then 28 divided by 14 is 2. Then you can go back up in here and you can plug in 2 for b to check your answer so you know if you're doing them right. I highly suggest you do that. So negative 15 plus 6 times 2 should be the same thing as negative 8 times 2 plus 13. In this case, you get negative 15 plus 12, which equals 3. Over here, you get negative 16 plus 13, which also equals 3. They equal the same thing, so b equals 2 is your answer. But that's pretty much all you're doing today. It's the same kind of stuff you've been doing, except you're bringing a variable over and you're kind of tacking, combining like terms. It's still inverse operations. It's still solving for an unknown. You're still doing order of operations in reverse once you get your variable together. So it is all the same stuff you've been doing. You just apply it to variables on both sides now. And again, as long as there's only one unknown, you can solve them. Luke, you said you got number 3. I'm going to do it anyways to see if you can check your answer. So number 3 from your homework is saying 3y minus 20 equals 8y minus 4. Again, you have the option here. You can either bring 8y over or you can bring 3y over. I'm going to bring 3y over because I can do 8 minus 3 easier than I can do 3 minus 8. And that way I don't play with the negatives that often. So here I'm going to subtract 3y from both sides. These will cancel. Don't forget your negative sign. It leaves you with negative 20. 8y minus 3y can be combined to give you 5y, and then minus 4, because we didn't touch it. Now you just do order of operations in reverse. I have adding and subtracting going on here, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Negative 20 plus 4 gives you negative 16. Is that right? I'll get to 7. Am I on the right page? 365. On 369, 3 through 23. Oh, I'm sorry. The answer is negative 4. That's why. It's actually just 8y there. There is no negative 4. Yeah, so that's why. My answer is next to it, and I can't. I'm looking too far away. Sorry, I'll start that over. I just wrote the answer next to it. So your problem is 3y minus 20 equals 8y. Again, you have the option of bringing the 8y over, the 3y over. I'm still going to bring the 3y over. So subtract 3y from here, subtract 3y from here. Negative 20, because this cancels. This gives you 5y. You don't have any addition or subtraction over here, so you're just going to divide by 5 and divide by 5. This gives you negative 4, which is the answer, equals y. And that's the answer. Again, my book has it written, so it has the problem, and then next to it, have like negative 4 is the answer. And I thought it was minus 4. I was looking too far away. So that's number 3. You want to look at number 7. Number 7. So here I got 2a plus 6 equals negative a minus 8. Keep in mind this is a negative 1. We just never write it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that negative 1 over. Yes, you could bring the positive 2 over, but I'm going to bring the negative 1 over. It doesn't really matter what you do. I just think this is easier. So I'm going to add a to this side, and I'm going to add a to this side. And again, this is a 1a. I'll get back to you in a second, John. Let me go back and relook at that. Here, I added the a to both sides. These will cancel. Leaves you 3a, because 2a plus a is 3a. You have 2 a's here, 1 a there. Together that's 3 a's. Plus 6 equals negative 8. Here you're then going to do order of operations in reverse. So minus 6 here and minus 6 here. You're going to get 3a left, because this will cancel, equals, and then negative 8 minus 6 gives you a negative 14. Then you're going to divide this by 3 and divide this by 3. And 8 equals negative 14 thirds, which can be reduced as a mixed number. 3 goes into 14. What is that? 4 times with 2 left over, and it is a negative. So negative 4 2/3. So that is a 7. And again, that's one of the only two that you should be getting a fraction or decimal for. If you want to do it as a decimal, that's negative 4.6 repeating. Jason wanted 17. 17 is your word problem. I think it branches off of what we did yesterday too. So a jet leaves the airport traveling at a steady rate of 600 kilometers per hour is speed. Right. Another jet leaves the same airport 3/4 hour later at 800 kilometers per hour in the same direction. How long will it take the second jet to overtake the first jet? So you want to know when their speeds are going to be equal. So looking at your unit rate here, to get together, you're going to be doing 600 miles per hour, or whatever it's going, times however hours it takes, is going to give you its distance, so to speak. Right, 601 gives you 600. 602 hours will be double this, so 600 times 2 would get you that one. So 600 times however many hours it takes is going to give you its destination. Where is it at? That's going to be equal to the speed of the other one, which is 800 per hour, right? And then it also has, what is that? Leaves the airport 3/4 of an hour later. And it also has to come up with another 3/4 of an hour. It has to make that up. If you want to change the 3/4 of an hour to the fraction, you can. But that should be it, unless I'm reading this wrong. I am going to change this to the decimal because it makes more sense. 3/4 of an hour, right? That's 3/4 of 60 minutes, right? 3/4 of an hour is, 45 minutes. So I'm going to add 45 minutes to it. Do I want to do that in minutes? I might want to keep that in hours. I'm just thinking out loud here. Plus 0.75. because that's 3/4. Or you could use it as 3/4, I guess. I don't know, let's see what happens when we do it. We're going to bring h to its over here. So let's bring, you can either bring the 600h over or the 800h over. In this case, you're going to, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll bring the 600 over to show you what happens when there's nothing over here, because you're going to be left with 0 then, because this is technically 0 plus 600h. So let's bring the 600h over. So let's subtract 600h from here and subtract 600h from here. This is going to give you 0 because they cancel. And this is going to give you 400h plus another 3/4 of an hour. In that case, you're going to then subtract your 3/4. This isn't working out either. I might be reading this wrong. This might be minus 3/4. Because that's going to make better sense, I think. I also feel like I'm reading this problem wrong too, so we'll see what I get. That's going to leave you with 400h over there. Yeah, that's not making sense to me. 800 minus 6 is 200. That's one spot I'm messing up. I think I'm messing up bigger too here, because this isn't making sense. That's going to be really small. Let me think about that one, Jason. Try it, figure it out. I gotta rethink, because that's not making sense the way I'm doing that. Let me read that again. Yeah, it's getting the same thing I was doing the other way. Attack it on that side. I'll think about that one later. I'll come back to 17. Give it a shot for those that are doing it. Your answer, according to the book, for 17 should be 3 hours, which makes sense. I'm just trying to think of how you set up the equation for it. I mean, there's other ways to solve it. I'm just trying to figure out the equation. So give that one a shot. We can talk about it tomorrow if I figure it out. But I think I'm interpreting the question wrong. Sorry about that, Jason. That's as far as I got. Number 5. Is that what's next? Yeah, let's do number 5. Five says 5x plus 8 equals 7x. Get your x's together. So I'm going to move over 5x. That is a positive 5x. Keep that in mind. So I do the inverse, which is subtract 5x minus 5x. These cancel, leave me with 8. This is 2x. Divide by 2 to get x by itself. And you should be getting 4. For 13. 13, you should be getting 3. So that's for Jack. 13 says six. So what you should be doing is distributing. 5n minus 15 equals 2n minus 6. Then get your n's together. Minus 2n from this side, minus 2n from this side gives you 3n minus 15. This gives you minus 6. Get rid of your addition and subtraction. This leaves you 3n equals, and then negative 6 plus 15. Just watch your signs there. That's going to give you positive 9. Divide by 3, divide by 3, n equals 3. See, that was 13. Are there any other questions on problems? If you already typed it in, retype it in case I miss it. Also, if there are any questions from yesterday's homework, some of those were a bit tricky. The answer to 17 is 3 hours. I just gotta think about how you set up the equation for it, because I'm reading this wrong or something. Eighteen has distribution as well. Just watch with the fraction. Again, you're going to distribute the 1/2. Multiplying by 1/2 is the same thing as dividing by 2, so keep that in mind. So here we distribute the 1/2 to both. 1/2 of 4 is 2, and then d, and then half of 2 is 1. and then d plus 5. Once you distribute, which is probably where you're getting confused, get d's by itself, I can either take 2d over or d over. I'm going to take d over. Minus d, 2d minus d is just d. Minus 1 equals 5, and then you add 1 to both sides. So d equals 6. Yeah, that's what the book's saying too. And again, you can plug it in. Six plus 5 is 11, right? So this has to equal 11. 4 times 6 is 24. 24 minus 2 gives you half of 22, which equals 11. So they're the same. D equals 6. Just so you know, 22 and 29 are apparently also decimals. I didn't look at that set when you originally asked. You can. You're just, I mean, yeah, it's 0.5. You just can't do the variable part. You can do the coefficients though. When it comes to multiplying, you can't add them. You can't do 1/2 plus 4d. This you can't simplify, but you can multiply them. Any other questions about them? Try your best to get them done. Peters is looking pretty good. All right, well, if there's no further questions, I'm going to end it. It does get recorded, so you can always rewatch. You can always email me if you have questions. Keep up with it. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at what unlocked today, which I don't even know what it is off the top of my head. Oh, inequalities. Inequalities are fun. But yeah, inequalities, I don't think we're getting too in depth with that right now. But yeah, we'll look at inequalities tomorrow. I mean, feel free, it's unlocked. You can give it a shot now and see how much you figured out on your own. But hopefully solving variables on both sides isn't too complicated for you. It is really just kind of the same theory we've been doing. So again, if you have further questions, email me. I'll get you a response together. Send it out. Keep up with the work. For the most part, whoever's turning into the live streams is doing pretty good. So with that, I will talk to you tomorrow. So long.